good morning to all. Welcome to Thursday. And yesterday was a bit of a scorcher. So clearly we are in the early days of May and we're getting some serious temperatures. So one can only wonder what August will be like. But we trust the nice northeast trade winds to bring us some gentle breezes, not too rough. We don't want any hurricanes around the place for any of our islands. So we just have some nice gentle breezes to just take away some of this heat. Well, yes, it's again another day and we want to give God thanks for His many blessings to us as we know that God is truly here with us at all times and God is seeking to guide us through whatever it is that we are going through. To doze off for a little bit of a break, we ask that God may be with you to guide you, protect you from all dangers, and trust that you will return renewed, refreshed, and full of life. As we come into our time this morning, we want to be able to spend some time in devotion as we come into that quiet place where we ask God to guide us through His most gracious, kindest ways so that we may truly come to know who we are and whose we are. So we take a couple of breaths to center ourselves and to bring us into a place of stillness, a place of peace. Giving thanks to Almighty God for the gift of life, the ability to love as He loves, as we seek to work more and more at that as the days come and go, seeking our own healing and wholeness. We stand in His presence. We remain committed to being at one with, to holding that space that allows us to connect ourselves with each other and remind us that we are all one. And so we bring our attention to our breathing and recognize that we breathe with everyone else. One breath, one source, one way of being in our world. You feel the presence of the divine in our midst as we feel each other. Knowing that we're all part of the sonship. We're not alone. We are with each other. When you breathe that single breath, and so from this place of inner stillness and peace, we once again turn our attention to our scriptures. Jesus also told them a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully qualified will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, "Friend, let me take out the speck in your eye when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs are not gathered from thorns, nor are grapes picked from bramble bush. The good person, out of the good treasure of his heart, produces good. And the evil person, out of the evil treasure, produces evil. For it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. It's out of the heart that the mouth speaks. What is in the heart? What is in the heart? Sometimes we don't really know what's in our hearts. In our modern day world, we can tend to be so focused on what we're doing that we pay little attention to being. And it is in the heart that we can speak of being, in that quiet place within us. And so at times we surprise ourselves because things may arise out of our heart and we hear them on our lips and we're not conscious that we have that viewpoint because we pay so little attention to our hearts, to our inner being. We are so accustomed to dealing with the external matters. But Jesus tells us that it is out of the heart that goodness comes or evil comes. And so we've got to guard our hearts. We've got to ensure that our hearts are in a place that assists us in right thinking, right understanding, right engagement. There is so much in our world that pulls us away from our hearts. As a matter of fact, oftentimes we are encouraged not to listen to our hearts, but to use our heads. But our heads can only tell us what our egos are about, what the society spits out from time to time. The head doesn't engage in that clear channeling of the divine, that clear passing on of the higher thoughts. Jesus asks if the blind can lead the blind. And it's a rhetorical question, in a sense, because we all know that that's relatively disastrous. But he raises that question for an important reason. To help us to recognize that it's important for us to do our work. Jesus chooses blindness because, in a sense, that speaks to whether there's light in our body or not. If there is blindness, then there's inner darkness, in a sense, using the symbolism. And so the important thing is to be able to remove the log, remove that which prevents us from seeing, that which prevents light from entering into our lives. And then from that enlightened state, we're better able to assist another to come into their own enlightened space. For we all are light beings. We are all sons and daughters of God. There is no difference between us. We all have the same capacities. We are able to do what the other does. Some of us may have different gifts because of the diversity of our experience. But all gifts are from God. All things work together for good, for those who serve the Lord. So we know that there is no better than. And so this morning, as we reflect on this, we are invited to go into our hearts and allow our hearts to speak with us and to guide us, so that when we open our mouths, only love comes forth. Our world teaches us otherwise. It teaches us to kill or be killed. And so we speak from a place of fear. We collect fear in our hearts. And then we speak out of that fear, and evil comes from within us. But those who have come to understand the importance of having hearts filled with love, we need to continue to work on that. Continue to purify our hearts. Continue to fill our hearts with the light. To allow as much light as possible to enter our bodies, in order that we can offer goodness to our world. We are good trees. We are all good trees, because we are all made in the image of God. But like everything else in our world, we can find ourselves distracted. And in that distraction, we end up causing ourselves serious pain. And that is not in our best interests, because after all, God has called us here for a purpose. And it's important that we're able to live out that purpose day by day. Because when we live that purpose out, we assist God in bringing about God's will. So today, as you go through the course of your day, remember the heart. Remember always the heart. That it is the heart which is the source of everything that you will say. And so we can do a simple exercise of just looking at or monitoring what comes out of your mouth today, and see what is the quality of the things that come out. as you listen to yourself, what words come out into the world. And remember, words are energy, words are vibration. And remember that when we say something, when we offer a word, we put it out there into the universe. And so, what are we feeding into the world? What are we sending out into the world? Because whatever we are sending out, it's a product of our hearts. So we need to be able to check our hearts and see what is the condition of our hearts. And so the best way to be able to deal with that is to spend some time and monitor our hearts. Notice the words that come from within us. And also notice the inner emotions, the inner sensations that oftentimes do not get to see the light of day. But they're there and they wreak havoc on our internal being. So let's spend the day monitoring our heart in every possible way to see what it is that's within us and what it is that we need to adjust.